This is a day that I've been dreading for about a year since I found out that Major Fellingham was going to leave us. And I know what you're thinking. Why? All he does is take pictures. How do I get that job? So let's dispel that. Let's dispel that myth now, because that's not only does he take award-winning photographs, and when I say award-winning, Quad A could not give him all 5 places of the award, though I think all 5 of his photos that he submitted were the top 5. So they gave him like number 1 and number 1 and 4, and they let somebody else be in the middle. Yes, he's an incredibly talented photographer, and you've seen his work, but that's not all a public affairs officer does. And if you haven't served at the brigade level before, you probably don't appreciate what these officers bring to the table. You all know that this Combat Aviation Brigade has a strategic importance in Europe. We are the only forward deployed CAB in Europe. We do multinational exercises across the AOR. We are a strategic deterrent, and I will tell you that in my 3 years here, probably for the first year that I was here, we didn't do a very good job of demonstrating what we bring to this theater. We did a lot of good things, but you know that saying, pictures or it didn't happen. It didn't happen because we didn't have pictures. Not only that, we didn't have somebody that understood how to communicate strategic messages, how to work with our host nation partners and help them understand why it is we make so much noise around here. How to communicate to senior leaders at 7th Army Training Command, U.S. Army Europe Africa, HQDA, the importance of this brigade. And I will say that when I was a lieutenant and a captain, I think I had a kind of cynical view of situation reports, right? Sit reps. You guys know the sit rep we send up every 2 weeks. I used to think, if I'm good enough at my job, people are just gonna automatically recognize that. I don't need to communicate it. But that's not true. If communicating those things, showing what it is you're doing, how you're achieving your commander's intent, how you're using the resources that you've been given, that builds trust and credibility. And what I am most proud of is that in the 3 years we've been here, that I've been here, I have seen an exponential increase in the trust and credibility that this brigade has, and that is directly attributable to the contributions of somebody like Major Rob Fellingham, who understands intuitively how and when to communicate. It's going to be a huge loss. I've been losing sleep for 6 months for a lot of reasons, but in part because of this loss and thinking about how we're going to backfill him. And we do have a plan to backfill him, but he's irreplaceable. We're going to get a captain coming out of the schoolhouse. But I learned something about public affairs officers. When they get trained at the joint level. So it's a training that includes Air Force, Marines, Navy, and Army. There's no specific training they get on how to work in a combat aviation brigade, how to work at the brigade level, and that takes a very talented person, a very intuitive person, to come to a new organization, understand the context, understand the culture, understand the dynamics, and communicate it in a way that creates options for commanders. And that's exactly what you did. And again, it's hard to put into words. I think there's only a few of us that really know your impact, but this, and I should say the other thing he's done is he's done this single-handedly. Most brigades, he would have a shop of people. It's just been him, and you would never know that. Nobody knows how small our brigade is because of the work that he does and the way that he demonstrates what we do in this theater. And so they all think we're a full CAB, and they all ask us to do way more than, and it's his fault, really, because they just all know because of how well you communicate. So I am personally grateful for that. I know Colonel Brome is as well, and so I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Adam.
All incredible points. So I think Rob's introduction to the job and to our CAB was we hit wires, put an aircraft down in the field, and the messaging at that point was incredibly significant with our host nation, and then additionally with USERA and 7th ATC. So Rob was very important right at that role, at that moment, assisting me in the multiple times I had to get in front of the press, assisting in communicating it effectively, and by virtue of that, it kind of springboarded our organization over that fall time frame of 19, from it being an event that could have been very horrible strategically for this organization, in this area and for USERA, to actually we flipped it on them, and the way in which we messaged it, it was a good news story, and we took advantage of that, and that was just a springboard going into Dragoon Ready, coming out of that, going into Cyprus, short notice mission. And that's the other thing. Rob has been to every exercise we've done. Yes, our battalions have done a lot, the brigade has done a lot, but Rob has been to every single exercise that this organization has participated in the last 2 years, and has painted the picture of what this organization does and how we do it. And Adam spoke to the deterrence. 2 years ago, I talked about deterrence and what this organization is for here in Europe. Look, 2 years later, Russia really hasn't done a whole, lot since that time frame, and we may or may not be able to attribute it to 12th Combat Aviation Brigade, but I would like to think so, because of the communication efforts at our level, at USAREF's level, Army level. In the last 2 months, if you look at anything that we've done with Swift Response and Saber Guardian, it has been picked up by U.S. Army, it's been picked up by DOD, it's been picked up by NATO, it's been picked up by USAREF, 7th ATC, across the board. And that is Rob's doing. Now, our soldiers are doing great things. We have a great organization, but he has captured that in spades in regards to what our organization does and how effective it has been. So personally, for me, Rob, thank you for what you've done for our organization and painting the picture for what all of these great soldiers do and have done for the past 2 years. For me, also personally, thank you for the advice and guidance that you gave me in regards to our messaging with host nation partners, also with our higher headquarters at many times. I look forward to seeing the great things you're going to do, making air defense look great. It's never going to look as good as aviation, but I look forward to all the great things ahead for you. We're proud of all that you've done, and we're thankful for what you've done. So with that, please read the orders.
Attention to orders. The Meritorious Service Medal is presented to Major Robert Fellingham for exceptionally meritorious service while assigned as the Brigade Public Affairs Officer for the 12th Combat Aviation Brigade. His outstanding performance and exemplary service are in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, the 12th Combat Aviation Brigade, 7th Army Training Command, and the United States Army. Signed, Christopher Norrie, Brigadier General, U.S. Army, Commanding.
We got
One more thing before you get to talk.
Let's do the, hold on that one. Let's do the other one
Yep.
first. Got something else for you that you're probably not.
I do have something else.
Do I have a bunny?
Yeah. Okay, go grab it real quick. All right, go ahead and do this first, Adam.
All right, we'll come back to that. We're going to do that first.
So who took this picture?
So yeah, great example of a picture here that that might be me in there. But it, that picture, Rob, I don't know how you got, it wasn't a telephoto lens. You were probably way closer to those live rounds than you should have been.
I'm never.
And there's a lot of questions we don't ask, again, because you make us look so good. So I'm glad that that there was no collateral damage and no shrapnel injuries. But again, thanks for making us look so good. This is one of, again, go upstairs in the command hallway or just anywhere in the headquarters and look at those photographs. They're all his. What a brilliant strategy, right? Like your OER is basically lining the walls. That's that. Again, brilliant. I wish I could have figured out a way to do something like that to communicate it so clearly.
You didn't.
A strategic thinker is what he is. But again, great picture. He designed this himself. He is a lawyer here because he paid for this himself, as he's supposed to with Cup and Flower funds. So good job. Major Robert Fellingham, September 2019 to July 2021, Brigade Public Affairs Officer. Thank you for your contribution and efforts to the mission success of 12th Cab. Without question, the finest public affairs professional this organization has ever seen. Your impact will leave a lasting imprint on these walls, at least until 15 years from now when they get updated. When we have future vertical lift, that'll probably be around the time. Your impact, and it'll be a reminder of the greatness that 12th Cab has achieved through the years. Wings of Victory. So again, thanks for all you've done. So while we're stalling and waiting for the S1, and that's my fault. That was part of the XO transition that didn't happen. So I'll take responsibility for that one. Why don't you talk a little bit, and I'll tell you when to cut it off.
Okay, I'll keep this short because we have a hail and farewell
why don't you not?
next week, or I can keep it longer. Adam, sorry, you guys said a lot of great stuff, but you guys made it easy. This is the best job without a doubt I've ever had in my entire life, especially in the Army. I've done a lot of jobs in the Army. I've laid block and drove bulldozers as an engineer, and I was a field artillery platoon leader, XO and FSO, and then I was a signal guy for a little while. Lavello, you know my pain. That was horrible. But this is without a doubt the best job I've ever had, and yeah, I know I got here 2 days later. We hit wires, but I mean honestly, Daniela Vestal came down from 7th ATC and really helped us get through that because I just got from the schoolhouse and we crashed out. I was like, oh my god. I called my instructor and said, you won't believe what just happened. I asked about if we, and they blamed me for it too because I showed up at the Noise Abatement Council meeting my second day here, and I asked the RAF PAO. I said, hey, do you have any packets on what to do if we have a downed aircraft? He said, oh yeah, sure, I'll send that to you. And then that night we had a downed aircraft, and so
it was your fault.
I jinxed it. It was my fault. But is it my turn to cut off now? Or we're gonna let me finish out.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Colonel Brome makes it really easy. I don't have to write a lot for him. I don't know how much you guys have seen him out in public doing stuff, but he is very comfortable talking off the cuff to reporters. A lot of where I'm going, I think the new GO I'm going to go work for has to have a script for everything he does. I'm going to be stuck in my office writing stuff. But Colonel Brome, because you're so comfortable and just naturally yourself, and you're able to talk to people and talk to mayors and talk to reporters, I get to spend the majority of my energy doing something that's a lot of fun that's not technically my job description, but making VI, which you let me do it, and I cannot thank you enough for that. And you guys let me do it, showing all, especially Big Windy and First 214th, and even the Apache pilots who didn't mind getting too close to me at the range, or close enough to me at the range. Appreciate you guys letting me do that and have just the best 2 years of my Army career. The Army can be a lonely place. You travel around a lot, you move around a lot, you don't know anybody. But you guys really took a non-aviator in and made me feel like I had a family here at Katterbach, and I appreciate that, and I won't ever forget it.
So we've heard about all the things that Rob has done for this organization over the past 2 years, and generally 2 years is not enough when we're talking about what I'm going to talk about next for Army aviation. But I tell you, in 2 years, Rob has done more than some have done in a career for Army aviation, and getting it out there, seen, like we talked about, everything that First 214th and 1-3 have accomplished. And I just think, me personally, and that's who matters, that Rob is very deserving of the Knight of the Honorable Order of St. Michael because of the impact that he has had on this cab and Army aviation in Europe, and essentially Army aviation as a whole. Like we talked about, I mean, he was the award winner, first and fourth in Army Aviation Association of America's photos. I can't tell you, you can't pick up a publication, and it's not just an aviation magazine, it's Army magazine, it's, you know, flight facts, it's flight, anything, his pictures are in it. During Memorial Day, during Army birthday, the DOD, everybody picks up those photos, and not only is he telling the story of 12 Cav, he's telling the Army story, and particularly of Army aviation. So I think he is very deserving of this award, and that's why we want to award it to him.
Appearing before a most arduous and discriminatory committee of tried and proven Army aviators and aviation patriots, be it known that Robert Bellingham was found worthy of special recognition for outstanding contributions to the community of Army aviation and is hereby inducted as a Knight of the Honorable Order of St. Michael. The Archangel St. Michael is the embodiment of courage, justice, and gallantry. So too, the aforementioned individual embodies these qualities and represents excellence in aviation. Therefore, the President of the Army Aviation Association of America acknowledges that this patriot is due special honor and respect for now and posterity. Given on the 17th day of June 2021, John Brome, President, Army Aviation Association of America, Griffin Chapter.
Thank you, sir. I would have expected that.
We're gonna need that medal back. We'll just get it.
All right. We still have one more thing to do, I believe, and then you'll get to congratulate these individuals.
Let's go, Marshbanks.
Sergeant Major.